Hey fam, how y'all doing today? Welcome back to History Highlights with Laney. Thanks to those that have donated to my channel, and thanks to those that will donate to my channel. In this video, we will highlight the Greensboro Lunch Counter sit-in.
On February 1st, 1960, four black college freshmen, Joseph McNeil, Franklin McCain, Ezell Blair Jr., and David Richmond, sat down at a whites-only Woolworth's lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina, and politely asked for service. The white waiter refused and suggested they order a takeout meal from the stand-up counter, but the students did not budge. The store manager then approached the men, asking them to leave, but they did not move. They also did not give up their seats when a police officer arrived and menacingly slapped his nightstick against his hand directly behind them. While lunch counter sit-ins had taken place before, the four young men from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University drew national attention to the cause. By simply remaining in their seats peacefully and quietly, they flummoxed the staff and left them unsure on how to enforce their whites-only rule. Eventually, the manager closed the store early and the men left, with the rest of the customers. It was a small victory and one that would build. The Greensboro Four efforts inspired a sit-in movement that eventually spread to 55 cities in 13 states. Not only were lunch counters across the country integrated one by one, a student movement was galvanized. The sit-ins established a crucial kind of leadership and organizing for young people, says Jean Theo Harris, a Brooklyn College political science professor. They mean that young people are going to be one of the major driving forces in terms of how civil rights movements is going to unfold. The Greensboro sit-in wasn't a random act of rebellion, but the result of months of planning. The students had received guidance from mentor activists and collaborated with students from the Greensboro all-women's Bennett College. They also took inspiration from civil rights causes of years earlier, including the 1955 lynching of Emmett Till and the Montgomery bus boycott. One member of the Greensboro Four, Joseph McNeil, resolved to integrate lunch counters after a 1959 trip to New York, a city where he hadn't encountered Jim Crow laws. Upon his return to North Carolina, the Greensboro Trailways Bus Terminal Cafe denied him service at its lunch counter, making him determined to fight segregation. McNeil worked in the university library with fellow activist Eula Hudgens, who encouraged him to protest. Hudgens had participated in the 1947 journey of reconciliation against racial segregation on interstate buses. This was the forerunner to the 1961 Freedom Rides, just as the 1942 sit-in at the Jack Spratt Coffee House in Chicago was a forerunner to the Greensboro sit-in of 1960. There were also sit-ins in Philadelphia, Baltimore, St. Louis, and Columbia, Missouri, says John L. Swain, CEO of the International Civil Rights Center and Museum. They were taking place in a lot of places before Greensboro. In late 1959, the Greensboro Four participated in NAACP meetings at Bennett College, where they collaborated with the women students known as the Bennett Bells on a plan. The Bells resolved to serve as lookouts when the four men took their seats at the lunch counter on the first day. They had a strong black community in Greensboro that was steeped in the struggle and willing to support young people by way of moral and financial support, says Prairie View A&M University history professor William Guzman. Another critical part of the protest was looping in the media. Multiple lunch counter sit-ins had taken place in the Midwest, East Coast, and South in the 1940s and 1950s, but these demonstrations didn't garner national attention. The Greensboro Four wanted their protest to get recognition, so before heading to Woolworth on February 1st, they arranged for Ralph Johns, a white businessman and activist, to alert the press about their plans. This is the real beginnings of TV media. People can see the sit-in and imagine how they would do it themselves, says Theo Harris. author of The Rebellious Life of Miss Rosencrantz. Word quickly spread about the Greensboro sit-in, and both North Carolina A&T and Bennett College students took part in the sit-in the next day. As the week unfolded, dozens of young people, including students from the Women's College of the University of North Carolina, flocked to lunch counters and asked to be served. We even had people who saw the sit-ins that were taking place at the lunch counter drive from other states to come down here, Swaney says. The sit-ins not only attracted new protesters, they also drew counter-protesters who showed up to harass, insult, and assault them. But the acts of intimidation didn't stop the movements from building. 1,400 students showed up to the Greensboro Woolworth to demonstrate. Lunch counter sit-ins then moved beyond Greensboro to North Carolina cities such as Charlotte, Durham, and Winston-Salem. Police arrested 41 students for trespassing at a Raleigh Woolworth. About a dozen Bennett Bells were also arrested at area sit-ins. As demonstrations spread to 13 states, the focus of the sit-ins expanded, with students not only protesting segregated lunch counters, but also segregated hotels, beaches, and libraries.
So, there you have it. A little bit of history on the Greensboro Lunch Counter sit-in. Be well, stay safe, and stay in peace, not pieces. Don't forget to hit that bell and subscribe. Word of the year, hope, hope, hope. Keep hope alive. Love y'all, fam. See you soon.